Good evening. Nicely, Mallory will join us in just a few minutes from the College World Series. 2 people killed, 2 people critically wounded. Saturday afternoon shooting rampage that shook a South Omaha neighborhood this weekend. By all accounts, it only ended thanks to something that many say we need to see more of: cooperation between citizens and police, as John Chapman explains.
This neighborhood around 33rd and E is a peaceful one. Folks who live around here say it's like going back in time, when neighbor watched out for neighbor. And when a gunman ran through this neighborhood this weekend, neighbors worked together to keep track of him. Virgil Patlin followed the suspect in his truck.
I see a guy I recognize. He's on the phone. I imagine it's to 911, and he's talking about. He looks at me. He says, "Verge, down there." So I'm thinking, okay, we're kind of on the same page about this guy.
In the end, Omaha police did get their man, and the city's top cop recognizes how important this was for citizens to help by calling 911 and keeping an eye on the suspect.
I also want to acknowledge the witnesses who followed the suspect. These witnesses put themselves in harm's way to help save lives, and they represent everything good about our city.
That's a good thing about South O people. Yeah. That's what I like.
Virgil Patlin is proud of his neighbors and his community. He is glad they stood together, and he hopes they can return to the good old days of peace and quiet.
Like I said, this is a 1950s community up here, and kids run around and play, but you know what? We're not going to change. This isn't. People were out last night walking their dog. Kids were out playing yesterday. Everybody's a little hinky still, but I'm not going to change that.
With photographer Jim Henchick, John Chapman, Channel 6 News.
And just a few minutes ago, the First Response Prayer Group held a walk and vigil in the neighborhood. They say they are here to support the victims, the 2 killed and the 2 wounded, and neighbors. And the police chief says an officer shot and killed the gunman after the man refused to show his hands, and he turned and pointed a gun at the officer. The identity of the gunman has still not been confirmed. Police believe he only knew the first of the 4 victims, who at last word was critically wounded. That's a very sad development.